had already discussed with the respiratory system. This lecture we all will talk about the circulatory system of the sapia. But before starting of that, we must know about the circulation. What do you mean by the term circulation? Circulation means roaming around, or you can say transporting from one part of the body to the other part. Now see, when we talk about the blood, so we all know that in the case of the human, the blood is enclosed into the vessels, right? So what type of things will be required into the circulatory system? So as far as circulatory system is concerned, generally it's we can compare it with our water system in the home. Suppose if you want to transport the water from ground to, and you stay on the height to your home, what things do you require? First of all, you require the pipes, all right, as well as you require the motor pump, so the pump can take the water to the uphill, right? Because downhill the water can flow. So same way, the blood circulatory system will require one pump. It will require the pipes. So the pipes are called as the blood vessels, and this pump is, in the case of the organism, will be called as the heart. So, what are the component of the circulatory system? Heart, blood vessels. What would be the third thing? The most important, blood. Now, in case of the different organism, they have the different type of the blood components. A complete unit of blood and blood components and about everything we all are going to learn in the further classes. That name of unit is hematology. Hematology is the systematic study of the blood and its components. So we will be discussing about blood and all in detail in that particular unit. But right now in this topic, we will be just discussing about the circulatory system. So circulatory system, as we all have seen from your porifera till mammals, the complexity of the animal is different, right? There some are very few simple. When we were talking about the digestive system, we have seen that the digestive system complexity also differs from organism to organism. So same way, the complexity of the circulatory system also differs. So on the basis of that, the circulatory system is of two types. The first, open circulation. Open circulation, now see, components will be same. Heart, then vessels will be there. Now, what is the major role of the circulatory system? Now, see, circulatory system is connected with your respiratory system. Respiratory system will bring oxygen. Oxygen is one of the most important demand of all living organisms. All right. So this oxygen, mixing of oxygen into the blood and then transferring it to the entire body part is the major role of the heart, or you can say the circulatory system. So what things will be observed? Open circulation. Open circulation is observed into the lower invertebrates like insects. Then you will find it into some of the mollusks, crustacean like animals, but you will not find it into the major or the complex animal. What would be the reason? The open circulatory systems do not have the blood vessel. They will be having the small blood vessel which will be end up into the cavity like structure, and the blood in the case of the open circulation will be called as the hemolymph because it will be mixed. Now see, you can see from here it is open. So from here this is going to mix into the body cavity, and whatever tissues are present, this tissue will take that blood. So what is going to be happen? The tissue will give that blood to the heart from one of the opening. This type of opening is called as the ostia, and if it is present single, it is present multiple. In the case of cockroaches, these are 8 to 9 ostia are there. So if it is single, it will be called as the ostium. So the single opening heart will come. And one most important thing in the case of circulation, whether it is open or the your closed circulation, one need to remember that the blood flows unidirectionally. This is the most important point to be remembered. Here it is not like that the blood will go sometimes here, sometimes here, the double way. No, blood flows unidirectionally. So how the blood will flow? The deoxygenated blood. Now see what is going to be happen. That oxygenated blood has come from the heart, and from the heart it has been mixed into the tissue. Now this tissue bed will give them space for the gaseous exchange, and whatever carbon dioxide and all is there again is going to mix into the hemolymph, and this hemolymph will be returned to the heart, and then again in the heart. Now heart will be connected from the respiratory organ. Respiratory organ varies organism to organism, like it can be skin, it can be the gills, it can be the your proper lungs, stenadium, anything it could be. So it will be connected from where it is going to take the oxygen or the oxygenated blood, and then again the blood will be returned to the different type of the organ. Now in the case of the vessels, they will be prevented, as I told you, that they make sure the unidirectionality. So this walls prevents the backflow. So the next type of circulatory system, which is our today's topic, closed circulation. So in the closed circulation, the blood will not flow here and there. Each and specific vessels will be there. Now see, and on the requirement means, as per the requirement of the body, the vessels are divided in three major categories: arteries, then veins, and the capillaries. There are subdivision also. Arteries, the major arteries will be called as the aorta, and the smaller arteries will be called as the arterioles. Then same veins ka vena cava, then venules, like that. Okay, so then capillaries are the small blood capillaries. These blood capillaries supplements this tissue with the blood. All right. So here this is the dorsal heart. Then this heart will be taking the blood to the anterior heart. Then walls. So everywhere you will find there are the closed vessel-like structures. So these blood vessels will not let blood to flow here and there. Now then how? Now see, here it looks very simple. No? Simply the hemolymph for the blood is coming and it is mixing with the tissues, and the tissue can return its whatever carbon dioxide or the waste material is there that can be mixed into the blood. Then how here it is possible? So small fine capillaries are connected with this tissue, and this will give the bed. So this will systemic circulation, we are going to learn it in detail. So this systemic circulation will help into the mixing, or you can say into the gaseous exchange. So this way the closed circulation happen. Let us talk on today's main topic, that circulation into the sepia. When we talk about the circulation in the sepia, so as we have learned the two types. So sepia belongs to the closed circulatory system category. The circulatory system is advanced, or you can say the complete into the sepia. So it is completely developed. Now see, completely developed, it will have the venous and the arterial blood. So venous blood means the deoxygenated blood and arterial blood is the oxygenated blood. So complete separation of the venous and the arterial blood is there. For this, it consists of hearts. Point to be underlined, it do not have heart, it have hearts. Okay, it have three hearts. This organism possesses three hearts. It will have the blood vessels. Just now I told you blood vessels are the artery, vein, and the blood capillary. And the third thing which the circulatory system comprises of is the blood. Just now we all have discussed. Now let us discuss about the hearts of Sepia. First, as just now I told, they have three hearts. So you will find a middle heart. Middle heart is known as the arterial heart, and here two hearts are there, right and left. These are called as the bronchial heart. This arterial heart or middle heart is the main heart. It is going to supply the oxygenated blood to the complete body, and this bronchial heart will be supported with the venous blood. All right. So let us discuss about hearts in detail. This systemic heart first we will talk about. When we talk about the systemic heart, just now I showed you the position. It is present exactly into the middle of the visceral mass. Now see, the heart is enclosed into the pericardium. In the case of most of the higher organism, also you will find that the heart is always having the protective layer. So the things related to heart have the cardium type of this suffix. So they will have the pericardium. Human heart also have the pericardium type of the membrane. This is a protective layer, you can say. So in the case of the sepia also, heart is properly enclosed into the pericardium. Now when we talk about the chambers into the heart, so they have the three chambers. How many chambered heart do we have? We have the four chambered heart. Now see, with the evolution, the compartmentalization of the heart has been taken place. When you will observe the lower organism, you will find few organisms, they do not have any compartment into their heart. Now here you can see the proper well-developed three hearts are there. In spite of that also three compartments are there. Right now crocodile onwards you will find four chambered hearts are there. Crocodile is the only case in the class reptiles, but apart from that the other reptiles do not have the four chambered heart. Then aves and mammals have the proper four chambered hearts. So let us discuss about the heart of the systemic heart of the sapia. As just now I told you that it will have the three chambers. Okay, so when we talk about the chambers, you will find that they have the thick walled ventricle. Ventricle in the case of all organism is always thick walled because it has to bear the lots of pressure. Why? Because it is the main pumping part of the heart. So always it is thick walled. Okay, because of the thickness, the more and more pressure can be generated. So thick walled ventricle is there. Then above tooth compartment are the auricles. They are thin walled and they are present laterally. Then first we will talk about the ventricle. Ventricle is present somewhat median and it is asymmetrical in position. When we talk about the ventricle, as ventricle do not have any compartment, but internally it has divided into the two lobes by producing a middle constriction. So simple constriction is there, but when we talk about the case of the higher organism, so they have the proper walls between, right? So in the case they have just simple constriction, not even the septa is present. Now this gives off stout oral aorta. Now ventricle and aorta. Okay, from this point to the remember, from ventricle, which ventricle? Systemic heart ventricle. One aorta is coming out, and this aorta will go to the oral side of right lobe, and slender aboral aorta will go to the side of the left lobe. This point is very, very important to by heart, because when you are talking about the position of the blood vessel, you must remember that from the oral side, from the aorta, what is happening? One aorta is coming to the oral side, one aorta is coming to the aboral side. Now this oral aorta is coming from the right lobe of your ventricle, and your aboral aorta, it is coming from the left lobe. Okay, so this point is very important to remember. Now let us discuss about the next two compartment, which are the auricle. Just now I had discussed that the auricles are symmetrical and they are present into the pair. Now this auricle receives the oxygenated blood. Now here also we are talking about aorta. So overall the blood is oxygenated only. Now, how they are receiving the oxygenated blood? They are receiving the oxygenated blood by the efferent bronchial vein. The auricle receives oxygenated blood, passes into the ventricle, and ventricle it will be sent to the aorta. See, pathway should be remembered. Oxygenated blood is coming from the efferent bronchial vein, and from the efferent bronchial vein, it is supply, means from the auricle, the blood is going to the ventricle, and from ventricle we have the two aorta, oral aorta and the aboral aorta. So overall, we can see systemic heart is comprised or related to the oxygenated blood only. Let us discuss about the bronchial heart. When we talk about the bronchial heart, you can see these are the two heart. Actually, bronchial heart nothing but the modification of your vena cava. All right, so they are present into the base. Now we all know very well about this structure. These structures are your ctenidium. So they are present at the base of each ctenidium. Now they are just the contractiles. They are contractile sets which receives the deoxygenated blood. Now one heart is engaged in the transport of the oxygenated blood. So what about the deoxygenated blood? What about its transportation? So its transportation is taken care by this supplementary heart, or you can say the branchial heart. Now this will receive, I always explain you that for receiving the artery or the whatever vessel will come, it will be called as the afferent, and it will spelled with the A, and which is exiting will spell with the E. Now you might be thinking, ma'am, that was receiving. So it was receiving to supply to the body. That's why it was the efferent. All right. So now this bronchial heart will receive the blood, and that blood will be deoxygenated blood by the efferent bronchial vein. Now this you can see very well the structure. These are the rounded and the glandular body. These appendages are attached to the bronchial heart. You can see here. These appendages represent the pericardial glands of the bivalves. So pericardial means it is supporting the heart. You can see here is also. So two appendages are there. Now let us discuss about the blood vessels. Now blood vessels, first we will talk about the arteries. Now arteries, I told you, is related with the oxygenated blood. So two aortas are there. We know very well that they are coming from the two lobes of the ventricle. Then thereafter it will be divided into the branches and the capillaries into the tissue. Now let us discuss about the oral aorta. Large vessels arise from the oral end of the ventricle and sends branches to the organ of the anterior part of the body. Just now we all have discussed here. Yes, what we have discussed, it is coming from the right lobe and it is going to the oral part. So right oral, then left aboral. Okay, this way you will have to remember. So oral, right. So it is coming from which side? It is coming from the right lobe of the ventricle. Now, as we know, right and oral. So that means it will give blood to the oral part. That means the whatever anterior parts are there, head, arms, and all. Aboral. Now it is small. It arises from the aboral end of the ventricle. It bends over the insect, runs aborally and send branches to the posterior part. So aboral name itself is suggesting it is going downwards, right? So it will give blood supply to the posterior part of the body. Now veins formed into the tissue by joining capillary. Now vein, then venules, and then they unite to form the system of vein, that is the vena cava. A large median vein runs from the head to the rectum and in front of which it bifurcates to the right and the left branchial vein. This here, this dark color you can see in the picture. These are the vena cava, and you can see now. See, when we see that in idiom, we remember the mental cavity somewhere here. Your rectum will come, right? So it bifurcates at that particular point. Now let us discuss about the blood. Now the blood of very interestingly it contains the dissolved respiratory pigment. What about us? We do not have the dissolved respiratory pigments. We have the respiratory pigments which are constrained in the red blood cells, right? We have the hemoglobin which is present properly, or you can say it is packed properly into the red blood cells. But in the case of the sepia, or you can say the lower organism, the blood pigments are dissolved. These pigments are called as the hemocyanin, and these are the colorless as well as the amoebocytes into the shape. Now, as the blood pigment, now why do we have red color to our blood? We have the red color of the blood due to the hemoglobin, that is the respiratory molecule. Now their respiratory molecule, that is hemocyanin, it is transparent in color, so definitely the blood will also be colorless. But when the blood gets oxygenated, it turns blue. So whenever the sepia blood is oxygenated, that means in the aorta you will find which color of the blood? You will find the blue color of the blood. Let us discuss about the blood supply. When we talk about the blood supply, so you can see oral and aboral aorta, they are arising. Now see, this is the oral aorta, and then you have the aboral aorta. They are arising from the ventricle. Now this point onwards, you might have heard that ventricle is giving two aorta. One is the oral, another is the aboral. So this will supply heart to the oral and aboral portion of the body respectively. We have discussed multiple times. Now from here, small branches, that is called as the, now branches of aorta definitely will be called as arteries. This will be sent to the various organ, and then again it will divide to very fine microscopic vessels. This will be called as the capillaries. This capillary will be again reunite to form the veins. Now, when we talk about the veins, a large median vein, you can see very well the dark color I have mentioned, that is called as the vena cava. This will return blood from the head region in front of the rectum. Then it will be bifurcated into the right and the left branchial vein. Now, why it is going to be bifurcated? Because they have the two branchial heart, right? Which will run through the corresponding to the renal organ to the basal tenidium, Now thereafter they will be dilate to form the bronchial heart. I told you bronchial heart nothing but the modification of the vena cava only. Then from there it will go to the pair of the pallial veins. Pallial veins are the visceral vein, and a pair of the abdominal veins bring blood from the mantle and aboral part of the body. Then all these veins will open. Now see where this bronchial this deoxygenated blood will go definitely to the bronchial heart. So if it is whichever side it is coming, if it is coming from this side, so it will go to this bronchial heart. If it is coming from this side, so definitely it will go to this bronchial heart. So respectively from whichever side they are coming, that side bronchial heart it will go. Now when we talk about the median veins, so these median veins are called as the genital vein. So now see, we can see the genital organ situated this side. So this side genital vein will also become, and as well as the ink sac. You can say the ink sac vein will be there. So this will take blood from the gonad and ink sac into the right afferent bronchial vein. Okay. So each bronchial heart pumps the blood to the tenadium. Now see, it is connected to the tenadium. Now from where it is going to get oxygen for making the blood oxygenated. Now see here, this will go, this beam is continued to the tenadium, you can see very well. So it will go to its side of the tenadium. Now what is the role of the tenadium? Tenadium is tissue bed like structure or the respiratory structure which is going to make the blood oxygenated, and from here the blood will go to here. Please note my cursor. So blood will go here, and from here it is going to the this region. Understood? So each bronchial heart pumps blood to the tenadium of its side by continuation of the efferent bronchial vein. Then it will go to the tenadium and gives off branches to the lamella. Now blood will get oxygenated, just now we have discussed, and it will be collected into the afferent bronchial vein. Then it will go to the atrium of the systemic heart. Here it will come, and from there it will go to the ventricle. Then from there it will go to the rest part of the body. So let us discuss in short. Systemic heart is present, then bronchial heart is present. Now we know I cannot make it transparent, so that's why I have used the red color and the blue color. Okay, so now see, these are your bronchial heart, you can see very well. So what is happening, your systemic heart? Now we have learned that systemic heart is having the oxygenated blood. So systemic heart will give blood to the body, and in the body what is going to be happen, the body will exchange, will take the oxygenated blood and will return the deoxygenated blood to the bronchial heart from the various veins, and this bronchial heart will take blood to the gills, or you can say the tenadium, and from the tenadium the blood will get oxygenated, and from here point onwards it is going to return the blood into the your bronchial heart, sorry, your systemic heart, and from systemic heart it will go to the rest part of the body. Let's just revise once again. Your systemic heart is having the oxygenated blood. So this will have your systemic heart ventricle have the two aorta. So with the help of aorta, now oral aorta will give to the head region and aboral aorta will give to the posterior region. That means in short it is going the blood to the body tissue, and so what is going to happen in the case of the body tissue? This body tissue will getting this blood with the blood capillaries. So in the capillary bed, the gaseous exchange will happen. That means whatever deoxygenated blood is present in the body tissue, or whatever carbon dioxide been produced by this body tissue will be returned to the blood, and that deoxygenated blood will be taken. Now here, this capillary bed, this point onwards, these are the arteriole, and this point onwards, these are the venules. So from here, it will going to connect with the different veins, and all these veins will be take to the bronchial heart. Now, from vein, it will go to the vena cava, and each side vena cava will give blood to their side of the bronchial heart, and this bronchial heart will return that blood, that deoxygenated blood, to the tenadium. Now, what is going to happen into the tenadium? Tenadium is the respiratory organ, so this will return that deoxygenated blood's carbon dioxide, or you can say the waste gaseous molecule, to the medium, that means the water, and from the water dissolved oxygen or the fresh new oxygen will be taken into the blood. So in the lamellae, what is going to be happen? Again the gaseous exchange will happen, but here the gaseous exchange will be happen with the surrounding medium, that is the water. Now this fresh blood or newly oxygenated blood will be taken to the systemic heart. Here the speed will be slow because tenadiums do not have any pump, right? So from here the that blood will go to the systemic heart, and we know what is going to be happen after that systemic heart. Both the auricle will receive the blood from the gills, and this auricle will transfer blood to the ventricle, and this ventricle will give blood to the aorta. So from aorta, where it will go? It will go to the various arteries, arteries to the tissue. So what is the pathway? It is very important to by heart the pathway. What is the pathway? Pathway is the systemic heart. From the systemic heart ventricle, it will go to the aorta. From the aorta, arteries. From the arteries, it will go to the various capillaries to the body tissue. In the body tissue, gaseous exchange will happen into the capillary bed, and from that capillary bed, again the blood, deoxygenated blood, will be returned to the venules. From the venules, it will go to the veins, and from the veins, it will go to the vena cava. From the vena cava, it will go to the their side of the bronchial heart, and from the bronchial heart it will go to the gills, or you can say the tenadium, and from the tenadium again in the lamella gaseous exchange will happen, and after that oxygenated blood will come to the systemic heart. So you have to remember this blood cycle. So this is all about the circulation of the sepia. So at this note, we'll stop for the today. Thank you. Dear students, hope you all have watched the complete video lecture, but still after watching the complete lecture, if you have any doubts, don't hesitate to ask me your doubt. You can write your doubts into the comment box, and if you want more video updates, definitely you can subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. Watch the videos with a proper care. Make sure that you are noting all the important points, and at the time of the exam, definitely these notes are going to help you. Thank you.